Hey, and welcome to our video tutorial. In today's video, we are going to learn how to generate QR codes inside our Caspio applications. So when scanned using a mobile device, we can be redirected to a different page to see more data, or depending on the QR code type, we could see a completely different end result. So let's go inside Caspio and see the steps that are required in order to generate these QR codes. The first step is to go into your tables. Now, for my use case, I have a very simple inventory management system, and you have some typical tables. The main table that I have is my products table, and inside this table, I have two fields. One is the QR code field, where I plan on storing the QR code itself. If you're using the Flex framework, make sure you select the attachment data type. However, if you're using the Bridge framework, you want to select the file data type. You can also have the optional QR code field for status. So if you want to see if your QR code generated successfully or not, I recommend that you include that field. And if your QR code fails to generate, you can troubleshoot and figure out a reason why. Once you've added a few more fields to your table, the next step is to go to your Designer tab and create some app pages and data parts. To keep things simple for the video, I've only created two different app pages. On the first app page, we have a list of all the products along with the QR code. And on the second app page, I have the product details. So when we scan the QR code on a mobile device, we are redirected to this app page where we see additional info pertaining to that product. I'm going to show you two different methods how to get to the product details app page. One is using the desktop. So when you click on the button, on your computer, you are redirected, and the second method is using the mobile device where we scan the QR code. Now for the first method, using the desktop, once you create your data part where you list maybe the product image along with the QR code that's been generated, what you want to do is over here on the right hand side inside the panel, find something that's called record controls, click on add, enter the label for your button, and then have it redirect to that specific app page where you have that product details data part created. Once you're done, you're going to click save. I've already created mine, so I'm just going to hit cancel, but it should look something like this. So when you hover over the row, when you deploy your application and you hover over, you're going to see that button that says product details or a different label. And then when you click on it, you're going to be redirected to this app page where you see the product details. You also want to make sure you include the QR code inside your data part. I'm just going to show you what that field looks like. We're going to click on Change Data Source and Fields. I'll click Next. And you want to include this image here for QR code preview. And if you include that field, you're going to be able to display that QR code inside your report. Now let's go ahead and navigate over to our product details app page. And here we've created a very simple data part that shows all the fields from within the table. But on this data part, we have to create two filters because we need to connect both of these two data parts together. So select your data part, click on Edit Filters, and I'll walk you through how to set up each one of these filters. The first one is very simple. You connect your results page data part with your details page. So you're going to click Add Filter, select Product ID is equal to data part field, then select your app page, manage products, select product results, and find the product ID. Click on save and you're done. What that does is when you click on the product from the results page, the product ID from that results page is equal to the product ID from the data part in the details page, and that's how the application knows what product to filter once you click on the results page. The second filter is using a query string parameter. So I'm going to click on add, select product ID is equal to, and then select query string parameter. Give your parameter a name. If you're passing the product ID, you can always abbreviate that as PID, which stands for product ID. It's very simple to remember. And that would be my recommendation and best practice. So once you've given your query string parameter a name, you're going to click save. I'm just going to hit cancel. And very important, you want to use the AND logical operator between both of these two filters. Once you're done, you're going to click Save. I'm just going to click Cancel because I already have it created. The third step is to go to your deployment section, expand your segment, and you're going to find both of those two app pages that we've created. Go ahead and deploy both of them. And what I want you to do at this point is to grab the URL to your product details page. So you're simply going to click on copy to clipboard and paste that link inside a notepad or WordPad, because we're going to use that later on when we set up the agent. So when we scan that QR code, it's going to reveal that URL. We're going to click on that URL. It's going to take us to the details page on a mobile device. For the last step, you want to navigate over to your integrations. So click on the burger menu, click on integrations. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and add the QR code generator. Once you're done, you're going to click on open. Up here at the top, you're going to see two different tabs. One is for agents and the other one is for profiles. It doesn't matter which way you begin. When you go to the profiles tab, you're simply predefining a profile that you can use across multiple agents. So I do want to show you the settings that you can enable when you set up your profile. So I will click on profile. You're going to give your profile a name. I'm just going to pick something random for now, ABC. And then you have different QR code types. By default, you will see the URL, which we're going to use in today's video, which means when you scan the QR code, you're going to see a URL. You use your finger to click on that URL, and then it's going to redirect you to a different page of your website. We have additional QR code types, everything from numeric, alphanumeric, byte, including Wi-Fi, email, SMS, and geolocation. But for today's video, we're going to include link to website. We have different modules. If you don't understand what modules do when setting up the QR code, I recommend that you use auto. But essentially, the modules determine the size of individual blocks inside the QR code. And it ranges all the way from 21 by 21 all the way to 177. The more modules you set, the more characters will be available in the QR code content. Again, if you're not familiar with this, I recommend that you simply just pick auto to automatically adjust depending on the QR code content. Then you can choose the shape of individual modules. So for example, you can use squares. This is very common. You can do circles, vertical bars. I'm just going to pick squares. Then you can have a background color of your QR code along with the ink color. So if you want to choose the colors that are more related to your brand, you can modify it and customize that here. And finally, if you're not familiar with generated image in dimensions, which is in pixels, I recommend that you simply put 300. That's going to be legible enough. And then you can use your mobile device to scan that QR code. Lastly, you can also choose a different image format, anything from PNG to JPEG. I'll simply select PNG and then I can hit create. But I already have my profile predefined in advance, which looks very similar to this one. So I will just hit cancel. Head over to agents, and let's create a brand new agent. Let's give it a name. I'm going to say redirect to product details, and I'm just going to use -insert to let me know that this agent uses the insert event to create the QR code inside my table. For my profile, here is my predefined profile, but again, you can create a profile on the fly directly from here. And once you create this profile and you hit create, it's going to save that underneath this tab here. Let me cancel and simply just select the one that I've created in advance. Then for my data source, I have a table, inventory management, products. And now for the event, you can choose record inserted or record updated. For this agent, I want record inserted. So when I add a new product to my table, that field QR code is going to generate that image, which is the QR code itself, inside that field every time I insert a new product inside my table. Now for the content for the QR code. Remember how we copied that URL from the deployment screen? We just want to hit paste. So here is my URL link. And from here, we want to pass the PID. So we're going to add a question mark to initiate the string. PID was the name of our parameter. We add the equal sign and simply just insert product ID to complete the string. And this is the content that's going to be shown inside the QR code when you scan it. And when you click on it with your finger, it's going to take you to that page of your website. And because you're passing the product ID and the data part is receiving the product ID, now you're going to be able to see that exact product that you scanned. If you'd like to include the image to be inside the QR code, more for branding again, you can include an image. And finally, we have our two fields for the incoming data items. So the first field is going to be the QR code, and the second one is going to be for QR code status. Once you've set this up correctly, you can click on Create. And here is my agent that's using the event insert. The first one that I've created already is using the update. And just to be a little bit more clear, let's rename this one to have -update. And then you can see that instead of using the insert event, I'm using updated, and I'm using all the fields, which means that if I update any of the fields in my table for that specific row, once I make that update, it's also going to update the information inside the QR code. I use the same URL, and I'm using the same two fields for the incoming data items. I'm going to hit cancel. So just to explain this one more time, if you need the QR code to be updated when the new entry is added into the table, you're going to use the insert event. But if you want the existing information to update inside the QR code, you're going to use the update event. So now that we have modified and created two different agents to generate the QR code in our table, let's go into the table and let's add a new product inside the table to see how that QR code is generated. So now let's add a new record to our table so that we can see how a QR code is generated based on the insert event. I will simply say maybe keyboard. Let's keep things simple, simple text. I'll add this image keyboard. For SKU, let's call this key B maybe 345. This will be computer accessories. Let's scroll to the right so that we can complete everything. Quantity in stock, let's say we have 50. Reorder level can be 7. Unit price can be $59.99. Supplier ID can be 5. And date added can be today's date. So now let me scroll to the left. Let's click on the row underneath that. And within just a few seconds, we should be able to see that QR code generated. Here it is. Now let's take a look and see what it looks like on the front end. So let's navigate over to our website. When you refresh the page, we will be able to see that keyboard added inside the results page. And now when you use the phone or a mobile device, you can scan that QR code. It's going to reveal that URL that we stored inside our agent. It's going to pass the product ID, and it's going to take us to the product details page where we can see more information about this specific product. So that's how easy it is to generate these QR codes in Caspio. Again, we used a very simple QR code type to redirect to a different URL. And once we click on either the product details button or we scan the QR code, it has the same end result. It's going to take us to the product details app page where we can see more information about that product. First step is to add those two fields to your table, then create some app pages and data parts. Make sure you have your two filters created on the details page. Deploy, save your URL, and use that URL inside the agent. And finally, make sure you're passing the correct parameter name as your query string parameter. Thanks for watching the video. I hope this was helpful. For additional information on QR codes, please visit our knowledge base at howto.caspio.com. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.